what are the other key differences between starting your own company and, you know, if you're thinking, people watching might be people thinking about starting a company who've maybe worked at startups. How else do you find it to be different?
Geez, so I mean, the day you leave your job and the hourglass starts turning upside down on your savings, that's a really scary, awful, stressful, exhilarating, tremendously exciting feeling. And then that basically doesn't stop. It's been almost 4 years since we started the company, and I mean, we at the time was just me, although I did quickly align myself with some terrific co-founders, which I highly recommend if people can find them. But it's been a roller coaster ever since, where we're up, we're down, we're left, we're right, and you know, every step of the way, it's been hugely exciting. It's been hugely stressful. It's been hugely fulfilling and rewarding, and it's like there's the big picture, the North Star of what keeps us focused every day, and that's helped us kind of not get too high with the highs and not get too low with the lows, because even once your company gets more established, I'm finding that roller coaster doesn't get any less intense.
Yeah, it's funny. Was it like Ben Horowitz or someone who has said like a startup is it's just like a constant process of like terror and exhilaration or something like this.
Right, and nothing in between.
I
right?
know, and it's funny, and I wonder why that is. It's like you think, and it's funny also when you talk to people, like no matter what startup it is, it seems to be the same. Like in other words, even if it's one that we all perceive to be like everything seems to go right all the time, like I don't know, like a Pinterest or something, like right, it's just like everything's going up. How could it be a roller coaster? It turns out it is, no matter what, it seems like.
Well, it's like families, right? You say, oh, that looks like the perfect family. and little do you know, behind the scenes, there's, you know, as much or more drama than in every other family. So nobody's different. I also think about a duck, you know, gliding smoothly on the surface, but then underneath, paddling like crazy. I feel like a duck many times.
I think it's also like just a tendency as an entrepreneur to take every day, if you have a bad day, and then sort of extrapolate it out. And, you know, sort of like, I had a bad day, oh, you know, our numbers were down today, therefore our numbers will be down for the next 6 years. Of course, that's not how it actually happens, right? Which is part of the roller coaster, I think, is like something good happens and you sort of say, oh, everything's going to...
all our problems are solved.
Everything else is going to be like that. And so let's say you get to hundreds of millions of people. What's your ultimate? I mean, are you going to be just selling the product directly to the people, or is there a different business model? Or
yeah, so we talked a little about what we started to see in the big opportunity, which is that, you know, it's not just about, you know, building an app or building a device or building a system focused on one aspect of health, but it's about all of these systems proliferating that in all these different categories of health. So that's what's going on in healthcare, and what we're really starting to do is be kind of the thin layer that ties all this stuff together. Mm-hmm. We believe that as a person, I should have, or you should have, or anybody should have a central place where anything they do in the world as it relates to their health, they should have a central location where they can keep all of their health information, and they can authorize different third parties to access their health data or a portion of it to deliver better services for them. And we don't think any one company can be everything to everybody. Health is way too big and hard for that to happen. So big companies will get built that are making devices, and big companies will get built focused on certain categories of health or fitness, and big companies will get built focused on corporate wellness or on building a fitness game or building rewards platforms or fundraising platforms. And as all of this stuff is happening, there needs to be this kind of central console that ties all this stuff together. So, I mean, we think that someone's going to do that in health the way that Facebook did that in social networking. And once that's defined, that's not game over. That's just the beginning, because then all these big, interesting companies can get built on top of this kind of health layer. We're trying to build that health layer. And it's why we opened up our API 6 months ago, you know, and it's why we've seen 50 completed integrations so far and several hundred others in development. You know, not just running apps tying in, but all kinds of different apps and devices across a very broad range of health categories. And also we're seeing these services like the corporate wellness platforms and the rewards platforms starting to build on top of all this aggregated health information as well.
And so that means you not only would have sort of fitness, I guess, information, but also you think moving into I don't know what, like, getting the medical industry and things like that?
I think ultimately the kind of the wellness side and the medical side will collide.
Oh.
That's not going to happen for a while. And the last thing we would want to do is anything that would inhibit our ability to focus on massive engagement and scale in terms of direct to end users. So anything, in terms of electronic medical records, payers, payees, insurance, just that whole kind of can of worms, if you will. Whoever builds the big breakout consumer health platform that has all of these users and all this data and doesn't just kind of centralize them in one place, but builds this self-optimizing system that can harness that data to make the world healthier and healthier in the way that Amazon provides people a better personal shopping experience, whoever does that is going to be in a tremendous position to then start to say, okay, well, you're getting so much value from this, users, by giving us your data and having us give you back meaningful, actionable insights so that you can get better results. But if you choose, you could enable your personal trainer or your favorite shoe company or the race that you're running or the doctor or your insurance company or anybody to access your data if you choose to deliver a better experience for you, to get cheaper rates, whatever it is. But if whoever does that, I think it's really important, and we think it's really important that it's always about the user and the user's choice. So it's the user's data, it's the user's privacy, it's the user that's always in control every step of the way.
Yeah. And so finally, what would be your kind of top, if you had to have 3 pieces of advice to give to aspiring entrepreneurs, what would they be?
So I think one is follow your passion. There's so many ups and downs that come with building a company, and there's no way you're going to be able to stomach it and see it through if you don't truly love it. 2 is figure out what you really want, because following the decision path to build a big, game-changing, next billion-dollar company is totally different than building a highly successful small company that either gets acquired quickly or can see you to to a sustaining pace that you feel good about over a number of years. There's no right answer, but the decisions that you make will steer you down one path or another, and you should really be self-aware and know what you want and what your team wants. And I think 3 is don't wait. So many people get analysis paralysis where they have all of this information that's coming at them and they're going to research more and make sure that everything is aligned perfectly before you get going. It's like, it's not real until you get started. So I used to think that you needed a detailed business plan and just all this crazy stuff. And if I had it to do over, I'd follow the path that we did, which is just to get going, building product, and figure out the rest later. Have a North Star of where we think we're going and what problem we think we're solving, but who cares about the business model if you don't even know if you're building something that people get value from?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, 99% of venture-backed startups fail not because of business model problems, but because they make something people don't want, right? So that's certainly the key thing. Okay, well, I think we're out of time, but thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.